What's up? My name's Christian. Huge Last of Us fan, obviously. Been on YouTube for a long time. Haven't had the proper setup to make videos, and I finally do now. So, but yeah, I've connected with The Last of Us pretty hard since 2013, since the release of the game. It's very meaningful to me. I love the story. I love the studio. Love Ashley Johnson. Love Troy Baker. I'm actually going to get to meet Troy Baker for the first time the end of this month at Pensacon, which is pretty cool. I ended up getting Ellie's tattoo from part 2 as well. And I know some people say that's probably a little extreme, but I love this story so much, and it's got me through so many hard times in my life. And I just wanted something to symbolize why I'm still here and why I keep pursuing and going through life. And I know that sounds probably dramatic, but yeah, I'm a huge Last of Us fan. I have a huge collection. I got to get Troy Baker to sign something this month. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to do it. But let's watch this together, and I'm super excited. Yeah, I've seen clips. I was actually at work when this released, and I could not watch it, so let's get straight into it. I'm super excited about watching this. I plan on making a lot more Last of Us videos in the future. Platinumed both of them. Well, I guess it would be all the releases since PS3. So, also, I vape. I don't know if that's against any YouTube policy, but yeah, don't vape, people. I try not to. I used to be a smoker.
Okay. Thank you all for what is about to be a very long presentation. So Anthony and I ran some numbers, and to our best guess, The Last of Us Part 2 is 10 to 30% longer than Last of Us Part 1. However, this is the most detailed story presentation we've ever done. Like, if you think about the presentation for T1, where we kind of talk about the quarantine zone in somewhat detail, even though most of it changed, and then it's like, and here are some things that might happen with Joel and Ellie. They might go into a spore-filled subway tunnel. They might fight some cannibals. At some point, Joel will get incapacitated. And this has everything figured out, even though it might change.
Long-haired Neil.
Every character is accounted for. Every cinematic is accounted for in this presentation, which means it's going to feel twice as long as the first game.
It was.
So when you freak out, that's normal. That's part of this.
Yes. Fuck yeah. Love the music. God, come on.
This is about
this music is
an
fucking
hour and a half
amazing.
to 2 hours. So hopefully you got your pee break.
Yeah. Grab some coffee. That's what I did.
So we open on...
It's actually late at night.
15-year-old Ellie. This is a few weeks after the events of the first game.
This film's contains story spoilers. Yes, spoilers. If you've not played The Last of Us, please go play it. You're gonna...
There's a doorway leading down to this
experience
basement.
Something.
And Ellie sees Tommy, and he's just finished climbing out of this basement, and he's hurt bad, and he's rambling about something, needing to go after these people. Ellie's trying to ask him what happened, where's Joel, and he doesn't make any sense to her, and she starts to go downstairs. Tommy grabs her hand and tries to stop her, but he's too weak. She rips her arm away, and she heads down. And with each step, her heart races faster and faster as she sees this trail of blood. She opens the door, revealing Joel's mutilated body. And then shock just sets in, and she screams and tries to grab his body, and Dina comes and rips her away, and on that cacophony of sounds, silence.
So this was the original idea for Ellie to find Joel.
Oh, we're just getting started.
Oh yeah. Man. I was so heartbroken. Spoilers, by the way, when Joel passed. Man. I have not boo-hooed about a movie or anything, or a book, any story so hard until I played The Last of Us Part 2. And I avoided spoilers. Luckily, I knew something happened, but I did not look on the internet at all. I avoided it because I just knew it was big. And all my friends told me it was It was something back. So this is
I've been
summer
working on
2013.
this game since we finished. Well, really, been thinking about it since we finished The Last of Us.
So many people
That's
were
crazy.
like, Last of Us 1 is so perfect. It should never have a sequel.
Yep.
They shouldn't make a sequel.
They're like, oh,
Everybody
it wrapped
said
up
that.
super great.
I wouldn't say everybody,
but I think actually, if you look at the ending,
Swear to me that everything that you've said about the Fireflies is true.
I
Ellie
love those little
is
graphics.
accepting a lie.
I swear.
I swear.
Man. She says okay.
Okay.
She has a very good bullshit detector.
Ashley!
She knows something doesn't feel right, but I think is too scared at that point to ask.
How long can you really live with accepting
Shout out
a
Critical
lie
Role.
like that?
Laura Bailey and
The
Ashley
Last of Us
Johnson's
feels like
apartment.
an origin story for this survivor in this post-apocalyptic world. Seeing like how Ellie has become such a strong, unique character, it really felt like, if we were to do a sequel, it'd be a shame for it not to focus on her.
Yeah.
Move the fuck out of the way.
It was destined for her to be the main character, obviously.
Yeah, once we're done with this whole thing, I'm gonna teach you how to play guitar.
I love playing Joel,
I reckon
though.
you'd really like that. What do you say, huh?
Joel, he's gonna teach Ellie to play guitar. That always felt like that's just this like unanswered promise that like was kind of lingering at the end of the first game. We did this thing called One Night Live.
One Night
where
Live,
we
I
had the
remember.
actors come on stage and reenact certain scenes.
So you say we get you to
I didn't
the
get to see
Fireflies.
it, but I
What
heard
happens next?
about it.
Marlene,
Oh,
she said
Tess.
that they have their own little quarantine zone, and that doctors are...
It was so sad when
Still trying to find
she
a cure.
passed away.
I wrote this
The
new
actress.
scene that takes place after the ending of The Last of Us, but it was only shown to people in the audience. Like we cut off the stream right before we showed them the scene.
If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself.
Some Pearl Jam.
Try and sometimes you'll succeed
Troy Baker.
to make this man of me.
I can't wait to meet him, man.
Our future days, days of you and me. She's yours.
No, I don't know the first thing about this.
Hey, I promised you I'd teach you how to play.
That scene ends with Ellie holding the guitar and playing one note. And that image was so strong in my mind that I'm sure that kind of trickled into this idea of this trailer. So I started working on some concept art, kept fleshing out the story. And as it felt like it was kind of gaining momentum, Uncharted 4 needed all hands on deck.
Yeah. Man, when that trailer came out, oh,
Naughty Dog had always made one game, and as soon as it finishes one game, it works on another. When I started on Uncharted 3, we were starting to experiment then with trying to do 2 teams. After we finished Uncharted 3, I jumped onto Uncharted 4. At some point in time, Uncharted 4 was coming down to the wire, and it's just, we had to shift resources, and pretty much everyone just ended up on Uncharted, trying to finish it up.
So I said, okay, before I come on like in full force on Uncharted 4, I just want to capture this trailer.
I walk through the valley of the shadow of
I
death,
love her voice.
and I fear no evil, because I'm blind to it all. Said I walk beside the still waters, and they restore my soul, but I can't walk on the path of the right, 'cause I'm wrong.
Still gives me goosebumps every time I
During the
hear
entire production of Uncharted 4, that's all I could think about. I had a lot of investment in Uncharted 4, but the day we were done with Uncharted 4, went right back to that trailer to wrap it up. Anything for this shot that's still happening?
Not animation.
Of the shadow of death.
This one feels kind of strong to me.
Not a lot of attention.
That's funny he points that out. It tells you how.
Actually, my biggest fear with this
picky
announcement
he
is that it leaks early.
which is cool.
More than
That's a good
anything,
thing.
I have nightmares about this trailer leaking early before we get to PSX.
That didn't leak, but Jesus Christ, all the other bullshit did later. Like I said, I'm glad I didn't see it, but all my fucking friends did. That was rough. I'm so
If
glad
we're
I
going to
didn't see
surprise
that.
people, PSX, the PlayStation Experience, hasn't set itself up yet as a place where big titles get revealed. That's E3.
PSX, let's go. Man, I was watching this. It was so insane to see this live happen. Ooh, Lost Legacy. I never played this, but
We're revealing the Uncharted single-player content at the opening of the show.
You're late.
but I played all the
I
other
thought you were
Uncharted.
professional.
Oh, you should relax.
Chloe,
You'll live longer.
I still need to play it one day.
No one's going to expect a second Naughty Dog title to be revealed in the
No,
same press
I
conference.
definitely did not expect
welcome to the
The
stage,
Last of Us Part
Sean
2 to be
Layden.
announced here.
There's one more. There's
And
one
a
more
trailer,
special unveil we
like-
have for you tonight. Please enjoy it.
Oh man, I miss Sean.
When we first revealed The Last of Us, the Naughty Dog logo came up and the crowd erupted, and it was such a high that that's almost been like chasing the dragon, like
Trying to
wanting
write
to
off
recapture that feeling.
Yeah. That was me, man. I was freaking out. As soon as I saw the Firefly symbol, I was like, no
Playing
fucking
it
way.
at this surprising moment. I'm hopeful it will have a similar feel.
Man. They could have cut it right there, and it would have been so hype. But they went hard, bro.
What are you doing, kiddo?
People outside the studio have such an attachment to the first game, and I've definitely seen fears about not wanting to make a sequel because somehow if it's bad, it will tarnish your feeling about the first game.
I'm
Man, I
gonna
was
find,
tearing up.
and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.
We're doubling down on those fears and not calling it The Last of Us some subtitle. It's The Last of Us Part 2 to say it's all one
Continuation,
story.
baby. Oof. If Part 3 ever happens, and I hope I'm alive to see Part 3. I really pray I do, man. Ugh. There's Laura. Story worth telling.
The concept for the sequel had to feel compelling enough, have enough weight that felt like, okay, this is an experience worth creating, worth spending the next 3 years on.
Yeah.
I became really intrigued with the idea of the cycle of violence and how like certain events would trigger acts of violence that then would beget more acts of violence.
It's just never
It's
ending.
almost never satisfying. It never brings the person you love back. And despite you thinking it's going to bring some closure, it doesn't.
Just makes more.
We just need more empathy. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could create an experience that lets you safely explore those feelings?
Yeah.
With that theme, all of a sudden everything fell into place and this outline emerged. The whole catalyst for what starts the second game is Joel killing the doctor.
No!
That feeds right back in that idea of that cycle of violence. Now it sets up this whole kind of
And you
sequence
have
of
to,
events.
you have to kill that doctor. And I don't even know if Neil thought about how that doctor was as important as it would have been. But you truly, even in the PS3 version, when you first play the game, you have to kill that one doctor. You don't have to kill the others, but you have to kill that one doctor. So it's cool that he used that. He's like, hey, what's the one thing that was forced upon everybody? And he used that and created a story out of it.
We're going to start the game where you're playing a new character. That sequence ends with this character killing Joel.
Man.
And we really have to paint her as this monster.
Ballsy move.
Then when you play the next chunk of the game and you're Ellie and you're going to pursue justice, quote unquote, and you're going to go kill this entire crew, we're going to go back in time and show you that same sequence of events, this character that you saw as a monster, to now get you to see things from her perspective. And how this crew is a bunch of people trying to survive in this world. And they had their reasons for pursuing and finding Joel and killing him. And the story was becoming very epic and ambitious. And I had a few parts that I was kind of stuck on. And I felt like to kind of shake things up, I wanted to bring in another writer.
She's a good writer. She was in Westworld, or she helped write Westworld.
I thought it was a very thoughtful story about violence and obsession.
Haley.
He had Abby, sort of like this girl who was the daughter of the doctor. And that Ellie would go on this vengeance quest. And when he was like, and then Ellie actually kills Abby, I was like, what? You're gonna... Yeah, let's fucking do it.
Not only is she contributing in a lot of ways, I feel like she's challenging what this story can be. She's wanted to add more romantic intimacy between the characters. Those are areas that I've been, I don't know, more uncomfortable writing that stuff.
Yeah, I would be too.
After the first day, she was telling me that she went home and told her husband that I think I just got Ellie's girlfriend pregnant, because that was her big idea the first day, and that had this trickle-on effect and actually added a lot to the story.
Yeah, major part
Ellie
of the
is
story.
this very relatable character. I thought she was a perfect vehicle to challenge this notion that violence doesn't have a cost, because it does have a cost in reality.
Yeah.
It's going to ruin this girl.
And Ellie's so destroyed after the end of this.
You know, people love Joel and Ellie, and we are about to kill one and make the other one a villain.
I was very nervous telling Troy we're going to kill off Joel. In the first game, he was advocating that Joel should die.
When I read the ending to part 1, I was like, you're going to piss a lot of people off.
Let me go.
Marlene is the closest thing to a parent that Ellie has had outside of Joel.
You just come after her.
I was
A lot of
never
people
mad
got
about the
hurt,
ending.
And Marlene would be one of those people.
I loved it.
Joel has crossed these moral lines, and therefore he deserves to die, and he thought it might be a more dramatic ending. And I was like, no, you're crazy. But then in the second game, that's why I was thought oh, he would take it pretty easily.
He goes, so Joel dies, and he's like, so this happens, and then and I literally had to stop. I was like, can you give me just a second? Because it literally was as if someone was telling me about how my friend had just died.
That's how it felt.
I think
when
he kind of
saw
took it
it
hard. It was like the character meant so much to him. We're gonna kill off this character. His role is gonna be much smaller on this one.
All of a sudden, it was, please don't take this from me yet.
Yeah. Ellie is scared to be alone. Everybody that she's loved up until that point, she's lost them.
It's hard to imagine the story without Joel dying. Like, you feel that hate, Ellie feels that hate. You're one-to-one, you're on the stick, and that informs the rest of the story.
This way, come on!
I know it's meant to be, but I really wish there was a way that he was still here, you know?
You okay?
Because he did feel real.
We get you through interactivity to really connect and empathize with this character.
They'll act like you heard of us or something.
And then make you feel like I've led Joel to a trap.
Don't fear change.
When we started out making Last of Us Part 2, Neil actually wanted to be very ambitious about changing the game almost entirely. In the first 4 or 5 months, the game was actually kind of an open world, inspired by Bloodborne.
Love Bloodborne. My favorite FromSoft game.
And like it was purely melee focused, like it was all hand-to-hand combat.
Purely melee. I do remember them saying that, but it's just so
it wasn't
strange
just
to
the
me.
melee combat, we were also looking at sort of layout structure. Bloodborne had a very sort of an open space that sort of kept getting bigger and bigger as you explored.
It was
I
linear,
really
but
like
open.
that feeling that you get of mastery over the world.
Yeah, that's what Bloodborne did so well.
It starts to become kind of almost a character in the game itself.
Especially that world.
And so that was also something we were looking at.
We started out making it as different as humanly possible from the first game as we could, and then kind of dialing it back. The open world thing didn't work with the story that we were trying to tell and stuff.
So in pre-production, we spent a lot of time just doing setups. Self-contained sort of units that tried to expound on a single sort of idea.
Man, that thing
Trying to
was
start out
swimming
with sort of
before he
simple
was
shapes
in the
and
water.
building up to more complex shapes. And starting out with one or two mechanics and building up to those mechanics.
Oh man, I use those constantly in the game.
Hey! Even our experiments, we try to add like as much context as we can. Like we establish a goal that you're going to be going for. We establish beats so that there's like an emotional journey, the stakes are raised. Figuring out some traversal stuff, a lot of climbing and balance beams and seeing how far we can sort of push in that direction without it getting over the top like Uncharted.
More sort of verticality, more use of grass and stealth.
My name is Arnaldo Licea.
And what do you do here?
I do design.
I don't know. How long have you been doing that?
A day. I got an opportunity to work in QA, and that was a great learning experience.
I would love to
I
do
shipped
that.
The Last of Us and Uncharted 4.
The thing I'm proudest of is the people who came in to a quality assurance job as a contractor, which is entry-level work.
Shit on contractors?
Used that job to get to where they ultimately wanted to be.
When I interviewed for the QA position, I specifically said that my goal was to be a designer.
He had formed this relationship with design where they knew they could rely on him, spending his free time designing a demo, and at the same time, him going to them and not being like, here's 50 bugs you need to fix. He went to them and was like, what do you need? How do I help you?
That's how you do it.
What kind of bugs do you need? And for
Yeah.
their part, they embraced him and were like, why don't we show you how to lay out nav mesh?
I am
That's cool.
anxious to prove myself. There is no babying when you start. It just hits the ground running. If I don't cut it, I go back to QA or find something else. We're trying to figure out at the moment how we handle big spaces, bigger than the first game.
The enemies are so like too spread out to be really considered like
Dina's
one
losing her
single
head.
small encounter. And seeing what behaviors we need to start developing for them to make it look good.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
The opening of Seattle, that whole section was pretty slow and quite linear in the level design.
Let's assume that there's guys in this building, someone's starting to shoot at me from the second floor. So, okay, if I'm on the horse and I'm getting shot at, I can't take cover with the horse, so probably first thing I'm going to do is jump off. And that's slow and clumsy, and maybe we can make that faster. It's like, but once I jump off, I'm going to want to take cover behind something. It's like, okay, I'm taking cover. Now what the fuck do I do with this horse? I I assume the enemies are going to shoot at it. If they don't,
Yeah.
that's kind of weird.
Yep.
Does Dina ride off with the horse to help it stay safe? Well, that
And then she
sucks because I'm
leaves.
trying to build
Yeah.
a relationship with Dina, and if my partner leaves me, that makes me like her less. I'm like, okay, so Dina has to get off the horse and take cover with me and help me engage with the enemies. Okay, but the horse is still there, so what happens with this horse? Does it ride off on its own in order to like protect itself and then come back after? Oh, that feels too intelligent for a horse. That seems a little funny. As soon as there's range combat, the horse kind of makes it fall apart. What if we did this whole sequence on foot? How do I approach this building? Imagine this is more dense with cars and ferns and interesting ways for me to close this distance. Maybe when I get close enough, 2 militia guys come out. I have this little firefight with this front before I could rush forward and go into this building, climb up, and take out the sharpshooter that was harassing me. Really simple, small fight. Now there's tension. Guys can come from anywhere, like from this rooftop, from these windows.
And that really inspired us to take some pretty drastic changes as far as the flow, inserting more combat, opening up the layout to give the player more options as far as how they explore the city.
You can imagine this as being kind of the hub with it poking into streets, and I could go into the streets and explore and find those locations, what we're kind of calling dungeons. So that's a plan. Some of these
so have a
changes are
free
big,
roam
but it got us
area,
excited. This
but-
feels like a true evolution of T1 as far as going more systemic and giving you options.
If there's concern, it's about scale, it's about scope, it's about can we actually build this thing?
The scope is always bigger than the last game. It always has been. It always will be, probably. But this scope on this game is something pretty extraordinary.
Everyone seems to agree that the thing we're building is going to be cool. Once it's done, it's just that it's such a big game.
Our games have become more and more ambitious, and the studio has gotten a lot bigger.
When I started here, we're 40 people.
Wow.
Now we're over 300. You can't handle that many people with a flat hierarchy. As we grew, we've had to introduce new titles just to control management, control communication, make sure things don't fall through the cracks.
We have no producers at Naughty Dog.
There's so many talented people here that you can rely on and lean on. It makes the game better. And that's really kind of the secret sauce of Naughty Dog, is how collaborative it is.
You find the right people who really want to do the best they can possibly do, and then you kind of give them the resources to try. You're getting what you asked for as a creative person, right? You're kind of getting the freedom to go as far as you can go, but sometimes I think we need to be saved from ourselves a little bit.
With The Last of Us 2, there's a real sense of opportunity. This is going to be a much cleaner production than we've done in the past. We're going to get it right this time.
This is the first project that has had the proper pre-production period, where we have locked down, for the most part, the story beginning, middle, and end before we started production. That hasn't happened. I don't know if that has ever happened.
Oh, wow.
When I think about it.
It's a very, very messy
That's cool then.
process.
So it's the first
which is
time
again
they
why it's a lot of
had
times
the
really
story
difficult
outlined.
to schedule. I think right now we are planning on springtime of 2018. So when springtime
That did
2018
not happen.
comes around, The Last of Us 2 isn't in stores. You can look back at this and say, well, I guess their plan wasn't exactly set in stone.
Nope. It happens though. I'd rather, developers take their time, do what they have to do.
Historically, we've done very poorly at being efficient without the pressure of an external deadline.
Every time we have some showing of our games, if it's going to be seen publicly, it's got to be one of the best looking playing things in the industry. For example, the first trailer was coming online, and that forced us to define the look of our game, define the location of where the game takes place, define Ellie's look and her age and her hair and her outfit. We're forced to make those choices. We can't just keep iterating because there's a deadline.
We want to try and schedule the game using these milestones as soon as possible.
Which means we got to keep the marketing rolling, which means next E3, 6 months away, we need to look at a gameplay demo.
E3.
Look, I love marketing, and I think it's, awesome for the consumer, but I think it's so hard on the developers that while they're making a game, they have to sit here and make a demo or make a trailer in the middle of production that slows them down. Now, I think a demo probably increases production because it helps it. You know, they have to finalize, I wouldn't say finalize, but really focus on making a gameplay as much as they can, and then they can kind of branch off on that. But man, trailers, like especially good cinematic trailers, I think it takes a lot of time away from the developer. And I don't know if it's a company like PlayStation that makes them like, hey, you guys have to have a trailer, blah, 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 in this amount of time. And I think that's a lot of pressure for a company. So, but yeah.
It's always been the biggest and most extravagant showing of the game industry. There's something special.
And maybe they like it. I don't know.
The energy of E3.
I think that's a lot of pressure.
We need to figure out what the gameplay is, because right now it's just we've got a bunch of like cool prototypes and stuff like that, so it's scary. But we work well under pressure.
We're hoping to be really aggressive and show at E3 2017 just to really kick the project into gear as fast as humanly possible.
And it could help them kind of just nail, like
we want to break it up into
what they want.
Roughly 2-minute cinematic, a flashback sequence that will set kind of emotional context for what will then go into a 5-minute gameplay sequence. We want to do this festival within Jackson. Like there'll be like a live band, and we're just seeing people lively having fun.
And for the crowd, are you thinking 30 plus people?
Frank says we could do a 30 variation. I think we can make that work with 30.
Yeah.
Dina pulls Ellie onto the dance floor. Ellie's dancing with her, is making all these guys jealous, and then Dina says, I want to make them really jealous. And she leans over and kisses her. And on that, we do a hard cut to Ellie in the middle of the woods. So the idea is we shouldn't see any buildings, just woods, water, ankle-deep water rushing underneath her.
Also, she has a samurai sword.
What about rain? Are we still doing rain?
I haven't discussed it with the other guys, but...
That demo that we show externally for the very first time is setting the bar for the rest of development.
Yeah.
But the problem is we're also working on Uncharted 4 Lost Legacy.
So E3 is.
So they were trying to do this at
13th,
the same time as
probably
Lost
we want to be
Legacy.
done like 2 weeks before that, which is 4.5 months from now.
With Lost Legacy shipping at around the same time of E3, there are shared resources between the two projects.
Especially sound and particle effects, so they were all on Uncharted.
When it comes to the polish phase, both we're polishing this and that at the same, and SPDLC at the same time. I don't think there's any specific item that needs to be worked on, but I think there's going to be programmer time doing both those things. And
there are going to be times when it's like this needs polishing in E3 and this needs polishing in SPDLC, and like we're going to have to compromise at times maybe.
We kind of just didn't have it at the forefront of our minds that, yeah, they're freaking shipping a video game. It's literally the hardest part of making the game is shipping it. And we were trying to ship a demo, the second hardest thing you can do, at the same time, and sharing a lot of their resources.
And that's what I was saying. It's got to be so stressful.
To find out what are the items that you feel like you're most worried about. Like, let's say rain. We could do this thing without rain. So if that helps you a ton, we can make the decision not to remove rain.
It would definitely help.
How about wet hair?
Well, if she's going swimming, then can't get around that, right?
How about no swimming?
Puts on a cap.
Man.
I got like a really clear energy of the meeting, which was how do we shrink it? It was such an impossible task.
Which sucks.
You can't help but start feeling some doubt, some anxiety about the leadership, not understanding the logic of it. I think like anybody else here, I was definitely ready to roll up my sleeves and figure it out.
Yeah.
I would say I wouldn't. We're going to try to keep this pretty short.
I think it's just ambitious. They really want to do the best they can. But
so after yesterday's meeting, there were a lot of side conversations, and there was sort of a sentiment about how much work there was to get not only this demo done to ship Lost Legacy, and it matched up with feelings that we were having. So we started discussing the responsibility of actually attempting this, and started to feel that it was a little bit irresponsible. That if we were to try to meet both these deadlines, we could probably do it, but we would end up doing a lesser job on both projects, both deadlines, than we would if we were doing them individually. And feels like they're both important enough to give them the due attention. So
Which I'm glad
the
they did
conclusion
that.
definitely
Yeah.
is there is that the demo that was discussed yesterday will not be presented at E3. Yeah.
I mean,
Does
Naughty
it
Dog
mean
is
that
so.
our main point should be just focusing on more shipping before?
The Lost Legacy?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, we should still try to. We don't, like I said, just want to just completely halt work on this and all hands on deck on Lost Legacy.
The idea is still to finish the demo just to give us a buffer so that these two deadlines aren't overlapping. It's just now we have more time to work on this demo properly without the pressure.
Once that meeting happened, it was just like, right, of course. I'm not in the Twilight Zone. It makes sense not to do this. It felt really nice seeing the leadership kind of having the teams back and seeing the logic of the situation.
It's a lot to handle. It really is. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a developer, but man, I can only imagine.
Okay, so are you pissed off?
Am I pissed off? No. What am I? I guess in one sense it's relieved because there was concern of whether we could hit the quality that we know we need to hit for both Lost Legacies and for our what was going to be our E3 demo. And then on the other hand, it's kind of disappointed because I was excited to get this demo done and get it out there and get the reaction, but now it's going to have to happen at some other point.
What we've decided to do is deliver the demo at around the same time, but that's going to be purely internal, and the demo won't be 100% shippable. Gameplay and design and animation are going to be locked in June. Then we back off, we finish Lost Legacy, and then resources free up to finish the particle effects, the lighting, and the sound. And then we ship just the glossiest, best looking demo you've ever seen. We burn that to a disc at the beginning of January, and then we don't touch it again. And nobody sees it until E3. It's going to be really interesting to see if we can really, really commit to being done, 5 months, 6 months in advance of E3 and not be tempted to say it could be a little better, let's go back.
I have a feeling I don't remember the date
and we
that
really just need to have the
gameplay came out,
discipline
but I
not to do
don't
that.
think that's what happened.
But that then left us as okay, what's our next marketing beat? What are we going to show next from this game?
So now we have a new plan where we're going to release a cinematic around PSX time. I think we're going to do it at the Paris Game Show.
This seemed like a pretty intriguing scene to introduce Abby. That whole scene is going to be our next marketing beat. And then we're not going to say much about it, about how this fits into the game, where it fits into the game.
I follow the actress that
Abby
has the
evolved
likeness
over
of Abby on Instagram, and they did so perfect with her likeness. It looks exactly like her. Now, obviously, she's not buff, but man, I don't know how those animators got that so well. Holy crap! Her and the lady that plays Dina, her likeness, man, they killer job.
And if you look at the concept art, the character looked very different than where we've ended up.
First stuff of Abby. Man, she could have been so different. I'm glad they went the.
I don't remember at what point
route,
we decided to go with someone really kind of muscular and broad. But I remember once the idea came up, it felt very fresh.
Once we
Also
sort of nailed
makes
down
sense
the body of
for the mentality.
Abby, we played around with different ideas of how we wanted to accentuate her arms or not.
And there's something interesting in Abby feeling a lot like Joel.
Man, look at that.
So when I got cast, Neil was joking
Laura!
around. He's like, "You should probably beef up in order to play her." And I'm like, "Ha ha, yeah, it's mocap, whatever." And he goes, "No, really, you should probably beef up to play her." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right. I should totally start deadlifting as much as possible." So I did, and I was training like crazy. And then I got pregnant.
Oh.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
We need to separate her from
You did a
Ellie.
great
It shouldn't feel like I'm playing a reskinned Ellie, that Abby should, in many ways, look, behave, fight differently.
Damn, Abby, badass.
So in gameplay, we've discussed, well, she needs to have different upgrade trees. It means we have to make the investment of capturing a whole different moveset for Abby. We can't just remap Ellie's animation onto Abby.
Yeah. That's cool they did that, because I felt the difference.
Abby has a fear of height. There's stuff we're doing with the camera to make you feel vertigo.
I never looked down like that.
And that helps
cool they
build
put that
empathy.
in
It
there.
makes
Look
this
at her eyes.
character real.
We let you both live. And you wasted it.
She's aesthetically a very intriguing and iconic and powerful character.
Man, Laura did
Abby, who are
so
these
good
kids?
with her.
They saved my life.
You guys might hate the character Abby, and that's fine, but you cannot deny that Laura Bailey didn't do a fucking amazing job as her. Like, golly.
Once she's killed Joel,
Her, Ashley, and
what
Troy
is
are
Abby's
amazing.
motivation? What is she trying
Oh,
to
that
achieve?
guy,
Her
the guy that plays Owen. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show Outcast. It's actually made by Robert Kirkman, the guy that made The Walking Dead, but it's another show that came on Showtime. But the guy that plays Kyle, I think his name's Kyle Barnes, the main character on Outcast, that guy, it mocaps him. I found that out when I was watching the little mocap thing on Twitter. That's him. I thought that was super cool. I love that actor, and I never even knew he was in this game.
redemption is really
Pretty
taken
awesome.
care of. Yara and Lev, these two kids that are from a warring faction.
You know, she has been taught to hate them. There is an inherent xenophobic reaction to them. It's about saying, can you come to love your enemy?
Scars built all this?
Seraphites.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
These are kids that grew up in a very different context as Ellie, and, you know, how they live their lives and experience the world is totally different.
Oh, your present.
I'm getting really attached to Lev. He's been able to keep his head up despite losing so much himself in a world that is so harsh.
We're taking too long. Can't move any faster. We won't do your sister any good if we're both dead.
I really like his dynamic with Abby. Her having this, like, fucking brassy little sidekick who calls her on her shit in a way that nobody else can.
What's going on between you and your friend Owen?
Oh my god, Lev, now?
It seemed really awkward.
Just go!
Who understands the sort of sense of being orphaned in the way that a lot of people can't.
How long have you two been on the run for?
PS3.
2 days.
What the hell did you do?
I shaved my head.
They want to kill a little boy because he shaved his head.
I am not trans, so it's a very delicate thing to tell a story of an experience that I've not had. And that's something that we want to take seriously.
Did you hear what they called me?
Yeah.
Do you want to ask me about it?
Do you want me to ask you about it?
No.
God, I remember when the leaks...
It's really about trying to...
The first, like, after I played the game and I started reading a bunch of the stuff with the leaks, one of the leaks was talking about Abby, and just because she was buff, they said that she was trans. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, the internet went so hard on this game, and I just don't understand it. Like, the hate was insane, and it was hard for me to accept it just for the fact of I love, like, of course I was really upset when Joel passed in the game or died. I know I keep saying that like he's a real fucking person, but to me he was. But man, they were so harsh on Abby, and Laura Bailey got crazy hate, like death threats and shit, and that was awful. And but I can't praise her more. She did an amazing job, and it just sucks that Naughty Dog went through all this, because I think if things ended up being differently, it wouldn't have been, I don't know. I think The Last of Us 3 probably would have already been in development. To be honest, I think if, you know, the game got a lot of love for Game of the Year and all that stuff, but I think there were things that hit the developers in Neil and Ashley and Troy and all of those people, Laura, so hard that it probably postponed what could have been a lot earlier. That's just my opinion.
Create a multifaceted character who is trans, and that is absolutely an important part of who he is, but also a part of who he is, not the whole of who he is.
As far as the Paris cutscene, I'm pretty stressed out.
I bet.
We have 13 days, less than 2 weeks to finish this thing, and there are still some big ticket items. Lost Legacy turned out to be a much bigger project than we originally envisioned, but now that it's done, everyone is now on board.
We've got the Greenlight demo done.
She's putting on quite the show.
Man, Jesse's looking a little different. There's a lot of the same
Very
guys.
real. We're in full production now, so I guess that's the short of it, is we're in full production now.
Cool. That's awesome. Very cool.
Hey everybody, PlayStation's live at Paris Games Week 2017. We've got a huge show for you starting now.
I thought that was Greg Miller for a second, but it definitely wasn't. His voice sounded very familiar.
Well, what a
Jim
great way
Ryan.
to open Paris Games Week. Let's have the first in-depth look at a much anticipated and exclusive title.
Last of Us 2. Last of Us 2. Please. Please.
Man, you called it, dude.
Please be Last of Us 2.
Our fans, they want
Please
to
be
know
Last of Us
every
2.
last thing about what's going to be in this game.
Is this The Last of Us?
Neil has taken
It's the
the
Last of
way,
Us?
you know, he kind of creates an arc or like this sense of drama, this kind of sense of mystery or like dramatic tension, and crazily has brought it to marketing.
I view marketing as part of the game. It's very calculated what we put out there and how we want you to connect different marketing assets. When we first released the teaser trailer, too many people right off the bat said Joel is dead.
The blown out light
I
really,
remember.
it really fucked us in a way I don't think any of us saw coming.
We actually underestimated our audience a little bit. They're so
I remember when everybody was
sophisticated
saying
now.
that, and I was in straight denial. I was like, no fucking way. He's not dead. He's right here. You can see him. You know, like, I did not want to believe it.
So you have to get more sophisticated, like, how am I still going to surprise players and viewers?
You start on characters you've never seen before in a world that like could be The Last of Us, could be anything.
Dude, watching this,
That creates
I had
a really,
no
really cool sense of
idea
tension.
until
At no
the
point are we going
clickers
to
at
market
the end.
that you play as this other character.
What is this?
Yep, I was the same way. I was
God,
like,
it
it looks
looks good,
fucking great.
I was
yeah.
so excited about working on it, and I couldn't say anything. It was so rough.
Oh, is she gonna cut a baby out of her belly?
And then Uncharted 4, you find a comic book that shows Ellie's mom pregnant.
American
so
Daughters.
people already had theories that Last of Us Part 2 was going to have Ellie's mom. Oh, if we just kind of black out the letters, she has the same number of letters as Anna, Ellie's mom's name.
Sneaky bastards.
We'll get people to think this is Ellie's mom.
Because everybody did
Oh my
think
God.
that.
Girl's got a good. That hammer's from the Outbreak poster.
So we had the
She
poster
called that.
with the forearm of a character you've never seen before, with this like kind of wolf's head in the background. What does that mean? You know,
That's
kind of
crazy
like
she called
prompting
that.
this mystery.
You want people to feel like they figured everything out and then have the story surprise them.
Man, if this is The Last of Us 2, bro, I'm gonna go crazy. Oh my god. Last of Us 2?
Yes! Yes! Yes, bitch! Yes! I fucking knew it!
Everything that we put
You
out
called
there
it.
is shaping expectation. And then the final game, hopefully, if we do our job right, should subvert those expectations in an interesting way.
Yeah, Ellie's mom. Everybody said that.
We
Crazy.
knew we were pushing boundaries with that cinematic. We are making a violent game. We're not going to shy away from how violent it is. It is part of what we're trying to say.
Yeah,
And
the
I thought
first
it was
one
a
was
great
violent. Like, come
discussion initially about what is the appropriate level of violence. When is something so violent that it just turns you off where you just don't want to experience it at all? I like that they were wrestling with those things. I didn't like some of the insinuations about the trailer being misogynistic towards the female characters.
So dumb.
I don't think this story ever glorifies violence against women. There's no bias towards women or men. It just so happens that the two protagonists of this story are female.
Exactly.
And therefore, that's what you're going to see.
Are you saying that women
There
can't?
has to be fail states in video
can't
games,
be
which
in
means a
violent
character
stories?
has to be capable of
The
being
world
hurt.
is violent.
So does that mean that there can be no female protagonists in video games? Because
Literally.
that feels super sexist. to me.
Yeah.
And
Like,
frankly,
what the hell?
like, women are the victims of violence, and don't we want to see women fucking fight back once in a while?
That character, her hand getting hurt, it has consequences for hours of gameplay to come.
Yeah.
One article even like asked the question, were any women involved in the making of this? And it's like, yeah, the co-writer, the lead character designer, the lead character artist, all the actresses that worked on that scene.
Jesus. And in the first one, dude. Like, what the hell?
That's so fucking... Here's what I hate about that article. I'm sorry. Do a modicum of fucking research, just a modicum of research, just like a little bit before you put something out there to suggest that no woman could have worked on this because of the level of violence, because there was violence against women, because it is a video game. Is so fucking sexist.
Yeah. It's just violence.
I like
That's
watching
all it
graphic
is.
violence. Does that make me less female? Like, I like having a conversation about what power is. Does that make me less fucking female? I like working at a video game. I like playing video games. Does that make me less fucking female? Like, suck a dick. Don't put that in. I can't.
You totally put it in.
I can't. Neil's gonna say put it in, but don't.
Yep.
I also don't represent all women, but I represent, like, I can represent this and say, I fucking wrote this.
Yeah.
I wrote this. Like, I literally wrote the sentence, and then Yara eviscerates eviscerates his esophagus from his throat. I wrote that sentence. That is in the script, and I fucking stand by it.
It's crazy.
I'm afraid of being turned into
Crazy
a
world we
token
live
rather
in right
than
now.
the truth, which is like, we're being thoughtful about the female narrative. These characters are more than just their vaginas. If you want to have a serious debate about feminism and feminism in video games and female depiction of violence, and you need to...
Why can't a good story just be a good story and characters be characters? Why does it always have to do with sex? I don't get it. Just, it doesn't matter what you are. As long as it's fucking good, it's good. It shouldn't matter.
See it as a binary conversation.
Just
It is
crazy.
an incredibly nuanced conversation. You cannot make blatant statements, and you cannot make presumptions. Fucking do your homework.
I'm glad that she was a part of
I'm
this
right
story.
here. I'm tweeting.
She did a good job. Shout out to Haley. She did great. God, look at Ellie's eyes. Jesus.
The tone of the violence in the game has always been important to portray as realistically as possible.
Our job outside of just drawing up concepts is really pushing our reference pipeline to make sure that the character artists are getting the most realistic examples of whatever they're working on. We can't find certain things, so we make the reference ourselves.
Simulating brain on wall.
1, 2, 3.
How does that drip fall down?
What does canvas look like when it's soaked in blood?
That's cool.
Splashing blood on them, dripping blood on them.
Nice. We put down some wet mud, pooled blood onto it to see how blood would react to a wet dirt surface.
That's fucking
There's like
gross.
little pieces of
Looks like shit.
grass and like twigs and things that carry through. Like there's actually movement.
That's neat.
Following
That's
the
cool.
edge.
One of
cool
the
little detail that they
animators
could take
got
from
a
it, you
piece
know?
of lamb and we stuck it in Yara's shirt sleeve and hit it with a hammer.
Here we go.
Yeah, we have a break.
That's cool.
she's gonna need to hold this as straight, because if she does this, it's gonna,
gonna
just the
fall
weight of it's
over,
gonna
yeah.
want to make it fold. So I'm trying to keep it as straight as possible.
This past week's shoot was specific for the infected eating people's jugulars, and there was a concept that was done with like blood running down the mouth. But it's like, would that happen? Like, let's find out. I got
that tastes good.
on the ground and pretended to eat away at like a bloody soaked rag that we made. It produced some pretty surprising results because like most of my face got covered in blood.
Look up a little, John, but yeah. Teeth? People here will go to that length of trying
gonna be a gift somewhere.
to make sure that things feel as real as possible.
There's Jeff Goldblum back there.
Yeah, we do a lot of crazy stuff
hell?
here. Nobody gets hurt, but
Maybe he's in The Last of Us Part
it's
3.
really hard to see these characters that you spend so much time with and, for lack of a better word, kind of like, birthing into existence.
Oh man, here we go.
Tortured and abused.
Jesus. I hate watching this, but at the same time, I get it. This part broke me, man. Poor Troy.
We're shooting the Joel death scene, which is like the catalyst, the opening of the game. This scene has all of Abby's crew.
Oh, I'm right.
It's a complicated
Sorry to
scene.
spoil it. Well, I'll play it. If I
Actors
see him
never
again, I'll
had
pause it.
in a single shot.
Y'all act like you hurting us or something.
It's because they have.
Nerf guns.
Or Joel doesn't die.
Yeah.
Just me out. Now that you got that. Hold on.
Hold on, sorry, yeah. Minor line
So
change.
then what happens is
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of us become friends.
Knowing what was going to happen and knowing how it was going to happen, I got very fearful.
There's so much weight to this scene. This scene has to be right. It's really difficult to reshoot it if we need to. Within the first game, having to call Troy and Hannah back to reshoot Sarah's death was very, very, very difficult for me.
Did that a lot.
The last time I tried to do a big emotional scene,
Don't do this, please don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, please, God, no. Oh, God, no.
that didn't go too well, and we had to reshoot it. Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me, baby.
A final one was good. Just pure pain.
How the hell am I going to play this? Like, how are we going to do this? I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have the chops. Am I going to put Laura through this? Because I know how hard it's going to be on her.
Audio. Camera. Speak. Rolling.
Take one, Mark.
Action.
Joel Miller.
Who are you?
Guess.
Why don't you just get out whatever speech you rehearsed? Get this over with.
You don't get to rush this.
At the end, I really loved what he brought to it.
I couldn't wait to get back into Ellie's shoes again because it's where, weirdly, I feel most comfortable in a lot of ways because it feels like a character that feels the most like me that I've ever played.
I
which
love
is
her
a
so
little disturbing.
much.
I mean, minus like the murder and the killing.
It sounds like a bit of step forward, like you're about to like lunge and shoot.
Sweet.
The biggest change that has happened since initial pitch is Ellie is there when Joel is killed. It used to be she came across the body, and then she had to rely on Tommy's testimony of what happened.
Yeah, that's what they
And
were
we
saying at the
shifted it,
beginning.
which made it much more dramatic and intense for her.
Fucking much
And I
worse
think
for
puts
Ellie to
more of
see it.
on screen and
again, allows you better to understand why she needs to pursue these people.
The
And
hardest part for me.
I think what makes it so brutal is so Ellie experiences it as it happens, right? Abby experiences her father's death after. So I think in that perspective, to me, man, Ellie, it's hard to say who had it worse. But when you see it happen in front of your eyes and you see the final strike of Joel's death and, Ellie's just sitting there fucking boo-hooing and strained and can't do anything. I don't know. That's a different level of pain. And to me, it makes sense why she pushes so hard and kills so many people, I think it's just a different pain compared to Abby. Now, that's my opinion, but that's the way I see it.
For me, was looking over at Ashley.
No! No!
Knowing that Troy was gonna not be a part of it as much was really hard. And knowing that Joel was not gonna be in Ellie's life anymore, it was just, it was hard. So much of that day kind of feels like a blur because there were so many feelings involved in it.
What I had to do, I felt was very, very little. There's one reaction, and beyond that, we're on Ashley. There was no acting. There was pure, raw emotion. I'm staring in the face of that.
Joel! Why are you doing this? Get the fuck off me!
I'd lost a little bit of my voice. I couldn't scream like as loud as I wanted to get that frustration and that sadness out.
Ashley was behind, crying, and God. And knowing Abby was taking this away from her was very difficult. And so I was crying when we were filming that scene. Yes, it was very emotional.
Love you, Laura.
You want what I want, right?
End it. Now.
Wait, please stop! No! No! Joel! Joel! No!
We want him to die in this really unforgiving sort of way. Like, it needs to feel senseless for you to say, fuck these people, I'm gonna pursue them to the ends of the earth and make them pay. If the scene doesn't work with what we captured on the stage, almost nothing we do in post is gonna make it work. Joe will take a pass at the scene, and I'll give kind of high-level notes.
But he's doing it without animated cameras, without character models, without environment. And so it's a bit of a guessing game to see if this will work.
So I like the concept. I felt like there was a lot of repetition and it felt long. Once like Joel's head gets smashed, I don't want a close-up look of him.
Okay.
I wonder if we could do like the smash from the back of his head.
Yeah, I'd want
So
it.
just like it'd be like a black shape and you see like a silhouette change and like blood starts pouring out, but I don't focus on it. Like I don't see the details.
Mm-hmm.
When the club comes down and it's just like she's screaming, I feel like we could just take all their audio out and like music could take over. And again, we're trying to build more rage than sadness. That's going to really set up our journey.
Okay.
I'll come back and there'll be another version of the scene. Okay, play.
Joel, fucking get up! Please stop! Please don't just do. Joel, no! No!
Overall, it's fucking awesome. Like I got emotional just the part where before he gets killed. It feels so fucking tense.
There certainly is still a ton to do. We still have like 45 scenes that haven't even been looked at yet. It's terrifying given our deadline. The process right now is just getting Neil. We just need to get Neil into the room.
Which one are we showing first? We've got essentially 3 versions. The one that I did, and this would work with what we're talking about doing with the scene, and then...
Close one.
I would probably say
There are people standing
this,
here
yours,
sometimes.
Mel, or
I got bad news.
Mel, yours, this.
He's canceling?
He's canceled.
But we had the cameras set. He's supposed to come in. He's the
Actually, it's good we're getting this on camera.
This is what it's not about. This is what it's about.
Yeah, he has some melee stuff to review today, and he said let's pick it up tomorrow.
So yeah, that's what happens. And so it's like, okay, all right, that's fine. I don't care. Yeah.
E3 demo revisited.
I get called up to Neil's office one day. And there's like an empty seat. And Neil just goes like, oh, just sit down. I'm like, oh my God, I did something wrong. And he's like, do you know why you're here? And I'm like, no, are we gonna talk about one of my levels? And he laughs and he goes like, no, you're gonna work on the E3 demo. It's always been a dream of mine, working on an E3 demo, seeing it on stage. Is this a joke? Like, am I getting pranked right now?
So speaking of E3 demos, remember way back when, like you guys said you were going to block that content and then not touch it? How's that go?
Well, and then we ship just the glossiest, best looking demo you've ever seen. We burn that to a disc at the beginning of January, and then we don't touch it again, and nobody sees it until E3. Well,
Yeah.
I think we knew at the time that we weren't going to not touch it. It's going to be really interesting to see if we can really commit to being done.
That's game
and
development.
Not be tempted to say like, it could be a little better. Let's go back, because the game's been making progress for the 10 months or something since we locked that demo down. A lot of advances have been made, a lot of new ideas, new mechanics, and we really just need to have the discipline not to do that. Honestly, it feels like we are addicted to being late.
Okay, we're starting. I don't know exactly what we're gonna do today other than come up with a really long list. We're trying to limit it to an hour, so we'll be done at 4 no matter where we're at. Looking at the cinematics first. Because we did it so early and had a rough version of it a year in advance, we got a bit complacent.
Jesus.
Jesse.
But not quite the show.
Yeah, that's a show. Oh my God.
Sure is. Where are we on getting physics on these strands?
We are working on it.
So for next time? For next time?
Yes, absolutely.
We didn't scramble to figure out what it is we're going to show. We had the structure of like the festival going into this fight in the woods in Seattle. But it was harder to build the momentum we usually have. And I think that panic just wakes everybody up, and felt like it took us a bit longer to get there this time.
So then you go in as if to kill this guy, see somebody over there. Oh, breaks 50% of the time, but use your imagination.
Yeah, going a bit slower, give him some time.
Okay.
The animation is breaking the melee system.
Okay.
So, like when he starts, yeah.
So I'm confident in the demo if we finish it. I'll be frank, it's not looking great.
All right, this is totally
Don't worry, you
broken.
guys pull it
For
off.
next week, let's make sure it's all there so we could actually review it.
Yep.
Okay, thanks everyone.
I feel like this demo is cursed.
I mean, that demo was
It was
incredible.
a version of our original Greenlight demo.
Insane.
But I had
It
to
looks
make
so
it
unreal.
fully playable and shippable.
Viper!
The first thing I did was just basically take that space made by another level designer and put just enemies in it and start fighting. But when I started playing it, I remember like it wasn't there. That parking structure was way smaller, so it felt more cramped.
God is good.
God is good.
I remember going to Neil's office and being like, how much can I change this? And he's like, well, what are you thinking? And I'm like, well, I'm thinking like this big thing. And I'm like, just like brand new designer. I'm just throwing out like everything. Like I want to do this and I want to do that. I want to make sure that feels like a sandbox, that it feels like this big space, that it's multiple paths. It's like something like we really haven't done before in The Last of Us. And he just goes, go for it. Well, let's do it.
We picked a location in Seattle that essentially is probably the hardest lighting scenario we would have to pull off in the game. I wanted to get the overcast look nailed because so much of the game's dependent on that. How do we pull off this look? Can we pull off this look?
Everything felt a little muted, and we were losing kind of that next-gen quality of our engine.
Like for a second, we actually turned the sun on in the demo.
But we lost the mood of that overcast kind of blue look.
That moment was really rough for me. Just felt like years of my life that potentially would have just been like wasted on this pipe dream of a look.
Well, we were struggling, like last summer, it was like a fine balancing act.
Is this whole thing just gonna crumble? Like, is the whole direction like now gonna have to change for the game, not just this demo? Have I steered this company wrong?
Took some really big iterations and tried some crazy ideas, and we came up with kind of a hack.
We talked with the programmers and found a few settings that actually gave us exactly what we wanted. It was really like one thing.
We faked the sunlight within this kind of ambient look so we could get some directionality of the lighting.
That it was like, oh, if we do this one thing, it actually got us the look we wanted. So like, I'm glad that happened.
Yeah, I like the look.
For this game, there was a major push to make a new volumetric fog system. It's not just like a kind of an overlay on top of the screen. That's why it's called volumetric. You feel the volume of it. It's gonna be a little bit thicker near the ground, right? Because there, you will see grass kind of getting through it. Fog also allows you to see the light. Fog adds atmosphere. Atmosphere brings everything together.
It was crazy cool.
Now with this game, we did add recently some new tech that allows us to make some of the water drips more dynamic, meaning that if you have a car, you will see a water, follow the glass, follow the hood, and then from the bumper, you're gonna start seeing dynamic droplets. So that was really cool. And then we can now actually also use this technology to drive blood. Now we can have blood dripping and we have water dripping. The water trail can pick up where is it bloody. And if it's bloody, it can change its own color and start dripping more red. And on top of it, we also clear out the blood. So what you will see is you will see bloody area, you will see water trails going down, and you will see the water trails washing out the blood and picking up the redness and going down. Really, really cool.
In the E3 demo, we do want to show our next-gen animation system.
One of the biggest animation upgrades that we wanted to add to this project was motion matching. The way that it works is it takes a pool of animation data and it picks the most appropriate clip to blend together and create just very fluid and organic movement. We want these characters to just feel grounded and believable in the world, properly shifting their weight and moving the way a real human would.
Yeah, that's cool.
In order to capture all of those on the stage, we use something called a dance card, a choreographed set of patterns that the actor can move on the floor.
Basically, that's creating this like bank of little pieces of animation. The motion matching system just pulls from that bank all the animations necessary to have them move perfectly in any arbitrary way. When it works, it's like so far and away better than any other animation technique. It's like a quantum leap of the highest order in terms of quality.
It's neat, man. It looks so legit. Like that movement's pretty insane. I remember
Any one
just
mechanic
playing
is
it
not
first
maybe
time.
anything you
It
haven't
was
seen
so
before.
weird.
It's the combination of how it all comes together, the way it works with the animation system.
The new stuff we're talking about is like, oh, you can be in grass.
She went into the grass. Watch yourself.
Like one of the biggest things we do in the demo is jump a gap.
Dude, I know it's like it's in every other game, but holy shit,
To be like,
being able
oh
to jump
crap,
The
you
Last of
can
Us.
jump. You know, like it's like, but it's new to our game.
We have to have the best
It was cool.
prone mechanic of all time.
I liked hiding under cars, man. That was crazy.
Yeah, no one's ever seen
Brutal.
when I aim and prone and she actually like rolls up on her back and aims like this. Like it can never clip through geometry. Being able to rotate 360 in all directions. It can never like do a janky thing when she's reloading while doing it or aiming in water. It was like an IK thing that would like lift her chest and head up, and then it gets too deep. Now we're in a special prone underwater moveset thing. Her chest and arms and everything are kind of matching ground plane. Things that a player will never notice. And it's because we like purposely did it. There's no such thing as like, oh, you know, it's not as good as, you know, this other game's one, but like, it's fine. It's gotta be like, no, it's fucking Naughty Dog. We have to have the best version of the thing, whatever that is.
It's what makes them the studio they are, man. They put a lot of heart into it.
E3 overall was amazing. The press conference was in a very different venue. They usually have them in like these big auditoriums.
Man, this
And
was so
kind
cool.
of like almost like a pop-up.
I would have loved to be there. It's a dream to go see like a Last of Us.
It was more like a
thing
theme
like
park
this.
idea, but it's like in a parking lot, in a tent, in Los Angeles at downtown. They had built the whole crazy church thing, which was pretty rad.
It was super cool. It was better than we expected.
Insane. Because I don't think anybody knew what they were showing off, right? Or did they? Yeah, they knew it was The Last of Us Part 2, okay. But they didn't know why this room looked like that. Yeah.
And you could feel like the tension of people trying to figure out, what is this press conference? What's going on? What game are they going to show here? On the Naughty Dog logo, you get this big cheer. On the Ellie reveal, you get this big cheer. Every moment that we've constructed and planned like meticulously for really a year now hit the way we wanted it to hit.
Maybe they're jealous of you. I'm just a girl, not a threat. I think they should be terrified of me.
One of the biggest reactions was when the HUD came on. They looked at that forest and thought, there's no way it can look this good. Like, that's impossible. But when we flashed the HUD and be like, yeah, that's it. This is the real game. People are not ready for this. Like, this is gonna fuck you up.
Fucking Legolas, dude.
See, I told you. They should be terrified.
did so good.
It was electric.
The hype was
My
insane,
skin was like
bro.
tingling the whole time.
Like as soon as it's done playing, I'm like on my phone.
And it was wild. It was wild to see it just everywhere. See it on YouTube, see people commenting on it.
Ruthless and gay. You can't just be beautiful.
But
man.
it was a really special
But,
moment.
You know.
I shipped something like as a level designer.
There was such a reaction to the animation fidelity.
It was
Holy
great.
crap, this is the best looking animation I've ever seen. Are you kidding me?
We're on the forums going through
Ellie
the
is
messages,
so
seeing how much people think it's
great.
amazing. Someone's like, sort of cynically, that our stuff was fake.
Yep, I remember this.
I guess it's kind of a compliment to the animation team for
Yeah.
like someone to say it's fake when they're working so hard. And right away I responded, I was like, don't respond, don't do anything.
Yeah,
Like
it's all you can do.
Not professional.
I was also a little anxious about it because it's a little fake, you know?
Fake is an interesting word. There's an argument that he's right.
It's not the final polished game. You can't just play this demo in any way. You have to play it in
This
this
is
very
all
specific
demos.
way.
I mean, God of War
But before we even
2018
show the
demo
demo,
was the
it's
same
like,
thing.
let's not put anything in there we feel like we can't do.
There was no thing of like, we don't know how we're gonna do that. It was just, we literally just don't have it systemic yet. You know, like systemically, a guy pulling you out from underneath a car, we didn't have that hooked up yet.
But they put it in.
Now we have it hooked up in the game.
It's her! Arthur! All over soon.
Ultimately, as we're building the rest of the game, if anything feels like it's not the right call for the game, we don't mind changing it. Like we had certain things in the demo for the first Last of Us where like Joel picks up a pistol and takes out individual bullets from it and then
yeah, I
pockets
remember
it.
this.
And like we
Which
could
was
have done
cool.
that, it just took too long. So for gameplay purposes, we cut that out.
I was
God, that
talking to
demo
other
was
animators
insane
and they were
too
like,
when I
yeah,
watched
man,
that.
they think it's fake. They have no idea. Like, it's awesome.
The same animators who made this demo are going to make the final game, so like, I don't know what you're talking about.
They were confident, which I'm glad.
We knew what we were doing and we knew how special it was. It was a little bit of a microphone drop to the industry, and for many it was inspirational, and they were excited to be able to add some of those details to their games and their future games. And for some of them, it absolutely freaked them out to see this might be the new bar that's expected for other games to follow.
That's a good thing, though. You know, just shows how far we've come.
Part of me is like, oh shit, like they're fucking calling us out. It's like, we have to deliver this.
God, that hammer.
Like we always were gonna, but now it's like people have called us out, so we have to do a full body throw animation when you pick up a bottle and you're running, and not just a partial animation because that guy fucking called us out.
Well, like they said, they were going to do it
The real
anyway,
challenge
but-
is making the whole game look as good as this one controlled situation.
We come out of E3 and hopefully we've set the standard for this, what the rest of the game needs to feel like.
Yeah, so it's good, I guess, like I said, in certain ways for the media, but I mean, it seems like they like doing it because it helps push the
When
development.
you already know exactly what you're supposed to do in the game, you've memorized everything, it's hard to have a true experience with it. You have to bring in people from the outside to play it fresh.
Yeah. Man, look at that clicker statue, dude. I would love that. Don't know where the hell
And
I
so
put
we
it.
try to
but-
start playtesting as early as possible. We got testers in bright and early. They're going to start playing the game. They're actually just right across the hall over here.
So at 1:17. 1:17:29. I'm gonna stop it here. I have work in the morning. We don't have much longer for part 2 of this video. Yeah, hope you guys keep watching and play The Last of Us Part 2. You know, I'll be back tomorrow, and I'll make sure I make another recording and just finish it off. And I do plan on probably recording and playing through The Last of Us Part 2, Part 1, both of the remakes. I beat them 100 times, but I would like to make some more Last of Us content and talk about the show. Love the show, obviously. But thank you guys so much, and give me a like if you like the video. If not, it's still really cool too. Peace. I said 2. Peace. That was kind of weird. I said it weird, but thanks anyways. Bye, guys.